takes you out of Kilbana.
Yeah. There's no shop here, for instance.
No. But you do.
But I can't see it. You want to look at the shop?
Maybe there's here. Oh no, that's it, isn't it?
That's it, yeah.
Nothing. I suppose you'd have to. Keating's.
Is that the Metropolis meetings?
Yeah. Now the rural resettlement building, I think, is very soon. This is it.
Right.
It's the gallery.
Going in here now, okay?
Kilbaha.
At any best, it would be a brilliant band of the dance anywhere close to where he was. Probably that hasn't changed so that much. But the whole scene changed, but I had gone out when we were there.
I was always involved in traditional Irish music, so it's.
I like to love the box now. I love the tradition. The industrial thing,
Yeah.
you couldn't do without it. Just couldn't. They're very heavy.
The pallet truck.
Pallet truck, exactly, yeah. Just very, very heavy. But I want to read this, I better take out that cap and my wife will throw me out. A venerable cap, she doesn't like it. Tough days.
A few musician friends of mine now who would have settled into just playing guitar singing, but in the old days they were trumpet players in the show bands.
Yeah, exactly when I was a trumpet player, and I can.
None is facing her, which is worse.
Yeah. Well, that actually illustrates a scene that was being described to me. I have to get more details on it, but it was part of the practice that a woman, a pregnant girl, would be condemned to the laundry, but could be by the local parish priest or by the family put in. And apparently she had to stay for a year. That's what Catherine called it. To serve a year until the baby was born. And then she was thrown out and the baby was kept. I got a teaching job for 2 years. Mm-hmm. I think Glenties in Donegal. It was a job for life if I wanted it, and it was a plush job because there were new comprehensive schools built, a few of them around Ireland. And one of them was up there, and teachers were encouraged to be creative and come up with different programs and whatever, because of the whole nature of the comprehensive system. Half experimental. It suited me down to the ground, but I still got 4 years after a couple of years.
Because you were an artist as well, though, and you were a piano player and you were creative.
Well, funny enough, I as an art teacher, this is not very relevant. Some other American big shot that help Shannon Airport or something. I'll explain about that one now.
Yes, please.
I was sculpting, that's about 30 years old now.
Mm-hmm.
And as I said to you, my feelings are that I'm just carrying a gene going back to the beginning of time. It's the same gene, and it comes out generation after generation. Not necessarily from father to son or mother to daughter or whatever. In my case, it has passed on to my son, and that's how he's earning his living. But there were certainly no sculptors from my father before, or my clan that I know of. Mm-hmm. But these are random things, they come out. So I'm carrying that. But I was doing a fair bit of sculpture now. and I had beginning to make a name for myself. And you have to make a name for yourself if you're going to get commissions, if people want to know who you are. And basically the life's blood of sculpture is commissions at the end of the day. You can make all the personal statements you like, and I have done many that I wanted to do, humanitarian statements, whatever. But they just remain pieces of sculpture. They don't sell, or you wouldn't try to sell them maybe. But in any event, nigglingly in the back of my mind, year in, year out, was the antithesis or whatever, the top of sculpture, and in terms of art, really painting as well, has been a reproduction of the nude person. It goes back to Greek art, goes back long before that, Egyptian art doesn't make a difference. And the classical standard of beauty, or whatever, is a naked female form. And I felt that I couldn't really call myself a sculptor in my own mind until I had sculpted a nude. Now nobody commissions nudes. And
Really? Not even privately?
well, certainly nobody commissioned me.
Okay.
But I felt a nude is a nude is a nude, all right. But any nude you see in historical terms, they nearly fit into the century that they were painted in, even though they're still a nude. You kind of know a Greek nude statue.
Yeah.
Either a bit of the background or the toga or something. And predominance of males, females, everything. But that is the ultimate in terms of sculpture of form. And one reason is perfectly understandable. It's also the greatest personal challenge, because there's no clothes in the way. And what you're into is doing every muscle and shape or movement or whatever is in the form in front of you. And generally they can fit into a historical setting. And I thought to myself, well, a nude being a nude is a nude. How can I get one that couldn't come from virtually any other century except the one I was living in, which at the time was the 20th. And that was just in the back of my mind. I didn't have a project, but I'm also deeply passionate about music. And it was during the 80s, was the time it was. And I was asked by an old friend of mine in Limerick, Brian Meehan, who was kind of Mr. Music, going on from my show band days, which I had left behind me. There was a period when there was musical shows, huge musical shows, called the Tops of the Town. There was a period in Ireland, they were commissioned by John Players or something, cigarettes. And yeah, I don't know, it triggered off anyway with the Irish people, their love of music. And town after town after town began to put on colossal big music shows.
Yeah.
And they had to be amateur to take part, but they were allowed to have a professional pit orchestra.
Okay.
It's very short. Brian, my friend, asked me would I come. I was out of piano playing. I wasn't involved in music at all at the time. I hadn't been for years, but he asked me would I come and do a pit orchestra for him in one of the big shows in Limerick. There was a theatre called the Savoy Theatre.
Oh, yeah.
Fabulous theatre. It's gone, unfortunately. And I agreed, and I went up to the rehearsals and whatever, and I did a couple of shows for him. But in one of these shows, there was a disco dancing Girls Come On. Amateurs. But the band was playing disco music and fabulous beauty stuff. And fabulous twisty dancing. And I don't know, there was this girl came out as part of a troupe
Yeah.
And she had that look on her face. She just lit up the stage.
Mm-hmm.
And they were nude, they were dancing. And I said, right, Jesus, that's what I want to do. That's my century. So to make a long story short, I got to know the girl, lovely girl. And to make a long story short, she eventually posed nude for me, and I made that statue. But to me, it's the essence of not alone the disco dancing age, but also, to me, it symbolises modern woman and what they have achieved. She's laughing her head off, but she's doing it for herself.
Yeah.
She's dancing for herself, not to be sexy, for any other reason, but I'm free, I can do what I like. Now, it didn't catch on. I just kind of knew what to say. But nonetheless, even if you go around the back of it, it's, I look upon it as a virtuoso piece of casting as well. Myself and Seamus had never cast anything like it. And the flyaway hair and the whole lot. It's so and off. I never exhibited it for sale, high up or low down. So that's the story of that statue.
What an amazing statue.
Should I put on the...
Oh, wow. Actually, do you know, it's actually really nice in this light, though. I like it in this light.
All right. She's not finished, you can see that.
Oh, yeah. No, but it's great, though.
Sandblasted.
Yeah, the last time I saw that, that was whole.
It was.
And,
In clay though.
yeah.
But you saw the rubber moulds and all the rest of it being taken.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then the casting, the whole casting process. You weren't here the day they were pouring metal, were you?
No, I wish. I tried to get down for that
Yes,
one,
yes,
but
yes.
yeah.
Finishing. Because I don't do the casting anymore, my son does it. And the founder's up behind my place.
What's it done in two halves? Bottom half, top half.
It is, yeah, but it's done in several sections. They've been welded together already. You don't see them now, but that'll sit on top of that, and then they both will be welded all around it. And they're welded with the same bronze that they were cast with.
You welded them together then?
Oh yeah, they're welded.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't do that
It's not a brass rod, it's obviously some kind of a bronze rod. Is it
the exact same bronze that it's cast in.
Right.
So there's no mark and there's no visibility.
Okay.
And they're welded in.
But to join them, will they have to weld it with a kind of a welding rod?
Oh, actually, yes.
Yeah. And then sand it so you don't see the join because it'll blend in, should blend in
That's
perfectly.
exactly, yes, yeah. But they've just been sandblasted today, you know.
Yeah.
That's why shining there's another statue there now behind us. It's waiting to be unveiled. It's not my statue, it's James's. Out in Bourville, Brooks.
Oh, cool.
Kennedy.
Wow.
Yeah. This is all finished. the bronze. Just sitting there for 7 months. It's always happens actually. It kind of happens when you're dealing with committees. The way is, you know, and parties, lads together.
There's a lovely word in the crosswords. I do a lot of crosswords. Keep my mind straight. Inertia.
Inertia. When inertia creeps in with the committee.
That's it, yeah.
You know, because in reality, I would have, they're going to be steps. And the nun would be on the inside step. The girl is on a lower level. It is kind of symbolism of the people who place themselves in authority.
Mm-hmm.
Be cast in bronze with the hand, because it's going to make it, you know, she'll be standing behind a gate, and the gate will be separating her from the nun, and this hand will be coming through the gate, and this one will be hanging out to the bar. But it would be very difficult to do that in bronze
Okay.
if it wasn't a part of it on the bronze, and then we can just cut the bar and weld the 2 bars, and then it comes together. That's kind of this plan that's in my head was is carving their names on the Irish numbers.
Yeah.
Numbers. They're supposed to have been everywhere, including Ruped. So the idea was that he's carving the initials on the tree, and they're taking a break because they're on the run from her father, Jim McCool. It was in Shannon Airport for years. And then there was a change of management. And I got a message from the airport, new management, could I take out the statues temporarily, you see, because they were revamping the airport. Every class that came in, then I would distribute all these books. We would talk about the pictures, and we'd discuss them. We couldn't get pictures, but we could talk about the pictures and the artists, and it opened up then the whole thing of getting through to the children. There were country children.
Yeah.
Naturally, it was a rural area, and they came in from outside.
Yeah.
They didn't know what even the word art meant, and I wasn't too sure myself, but we worked it out,
Yeah.
and that was how to make it relevant to people who were never probably going to be artists for a start, and who might never see a painting in their life. And I came up with the term, my own way of teaching, and I thought of a subject, and I would mention it to the kids to make sense. And I said, and I called it afterwards, because I wrote about it afterwards. I never published it, but I wrote it. But the title of the chapter was, Who Eats Flowers?
Oh, wow.
And I said, I brought it home. Go back home, think about home. All you think about your home. And what's your daddy grow? They're all farmers. The cattle and the pigs and they grow vegetables and whatever. And who grows flowers? Oh, Mammy. Mammy's the one that plants them. I said, why? Oh, she loves them. The whole thing, as I was saying, there's more to life. And there's pretty things. Women understand it.
Yeah.
Naturally. They're the same with their clothes, with their everything.
Yeah.
They have this thing. Men don't naturally can't do it. Disaster, which I am. But nonetheless, and this is all devotion talent. And this was, and on sunny days, I would take them out for a walk to the country.
See, that's
The
great.
whole class, yeah. And we would talk, just chat. Because art, when you open up the world of art, it goes everywhere.
Yeah.
But going, it comes again to what you call it, you have to shut up at some stage. And people were reading books, they were quite happy. They weren't in to do drawing, but they could if they wanted, or to do art, because they were only one period. Some of them would.
Yeah.
And mostly they were, and they were mixed for one of the first co-ed schools in the country.
Oh,
And
wow.
they had a kind of a more grown up intake than would normally be a bit older, because it closed down an old tech or something in the town by agreement, and all the kids came.
Wow.
And they were already, the girls now were, for instance, very advanced at 16 and 17, because it was all Sunday night dancing that time.
Yeah.
And all the buses that went off in the buses, sure, the school, the art room was more, school was half empty on a Monday morning.
I bet.
I'm gone there. And, but nonetheless, we would have this cohort of a mixture, boys, girls, normal now, it wasn't that time. And I remember one little girl, she was a very pretty girl, she had beautiful eyes, and she was a dibble. And we were going through, we were looking through books, and I'd say, we discuss anything, chat about anything. And then I got this girl called down, and she said, please sir, she said, why are artists always painting naked women? Looking straight with her blue eyes into my face.
Yeah.
For a man that was only 28 or 29 at the time.
Yeah.
A trap.
Yeah.
Oh, she knew what she was at. But I managed to turn around in desperation. Well, I said, okay, let's go through the book and see how many of them are there.
Yeah.
And I hadn't done it myself.
Yeah.
But as we went through the book, the vast majority of them were landscapes.
All right,
Landscapes
okay.
and horses. There were, yes, and there was only the rare nude picture in it.
Interesting.
And yeah, and if you go through your normal gallery, you
Yeah.
will find roughly the same.
Yeah.
So, but it didn't matter. She did it out of compliment, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, the same girl actually married one of the teachers afterwards. Very nice girl.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, they were at that age.
Yeah, no, of course.
There was
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
problem at all.
Yeah.
There was no fuss about it.
Yeah, no, yeah.
None
of course.
whatsoever.
Yeah.
Anyway, as I said, it was during the times when I had nothing to do but shuttle. And especially our classes that were doing the leaving cert. Whatever talent they had, to try and help them along.
Yeah.
And you could. There's always tricks and tracks, whatever. But you still had to sit down and shuttle. Another thing I do, incidentally, was I played music. I mean, blood, sweat and tears going. Yeah, I got permission for that. I got a tape recorder, reel to reel at the time. Blood,
that's
sweat and
great.
tears. And I read some lovely, beautiful Tchaikovsky and symphonies as well. You know, stuff that people would love. Just in the background, no talk about it. And he was very broad-minded. And it was, but anyway, cut a long story short, there was no smoking then. I was smoking a pipe. And I would light up inside in the art room, and I'd puff away.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but
I love it.
there was no smoking.
So
then at
strict
all.
now. It's so strict now compared to that.
that's really,
So many
It wasn't
rules.
worth living. I gave up the pipe eventually, but I loved it dearly. But anyway, I'd be there. And as I said, it was a new room. And I might have just gone through a session with them talking about other artists and always talking about other artists. And discussing other artists. And there's a row of pipes like that. Radiators down from my desk at the corner, going down to it, and they were painted pink. And it was brand new now. I thought to myself, Jesus, I know to spend the next 30 years maybe looking at that row of pipes here.
Pink radiator.
It kept getting striking. Jesus, I shouldn't be talking about art. That's my,
Yeah.
I should be doing it.
Yeah.
So I handed in my notice, took my little family and came down here. Moist all the time, I was just cracking dry. Wow. It's only clay.
even his expression, you can see.
Did you eat that?
Imagine growing up around that, like,
Did you
what a
eat that?
treat.
Your boy just looks at us.
When did you make that?
What's that what Brian said?
Yeah, when?
Oh, yeah. Actually, that before you go, you might touch up the cracks with that before I paint it.
I should put my glasses now.
Yeah, go ahead.
I see it too, yeah.
Yeah. The surprise is actually, it's actually quite difficult, it's really.
Can I ask a question about the rubber and what the purpose of it is for a novice like me who knows nothing about sculpture?
Well, Seamus,
I'll show you the
Okay.
process
Okay,
at the other end today. So, absolutely, of course,
Okay.
answer any questions you want.
okay, brilliant.
There, I'll give you a tour. Oh, here we go.
What do you
I'm
think?
going to bring down another lad probably to help me with this as well.
tell her about that one.
Does the nun remain faceless?
Yes,
Sorry, yeah.
yes. Yeah.
It's about to close cracks now the last couple of days.
Is that you, Brian?
And I kept it cool.
Yeah.
Is that you?
No, I wouldn't want to be that.
You would have that baby.
No, no.
I wouldn't want a nun holding.
No, we tried to hand you off a few times.
Bring me over to a nun anyway.
Yeah. This is my daughter Hannah.
Hiya, Hannah.
Me and she are going to...
I think they've got you over there. There's little bits of wire on the surface at the moment.
Okay. All right.
We're out of parts now.
So you sure? All right. So are you heading for?
No.
I thought you were heading for. I thought you were heading for the store.
Well, we are good, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So you're heading for the store.
Yeah, but not to mention, I have to price it first. And then
Oh yeah. Okay.
Seamus has started, Adam.
No, he doesn't need me. Dad, don't need him just yet. He knows that. This is called. This is called silicone rubber.
Okay.
And it's a fabulous product. It's made our foundry's life much easier.
What were they using before?
We use a hot melt rubber called Vinymold,
That's it.
where the rubber had to be heated in
Where
a,
the glasses here?
in a rubber heater, and you had to do a different, completely different, much more time-consuming type of moulding.
Your old
Okay.
case.
That's all.
No. Oh, that one goes out.
So that would have added a lot more time compared to this,
A lot
right?
more time, yeah. And more potential for things to go wrong as well.
So when this dries off, or do you just have to do one coat, or do you have to do?
No, we'll just be doing one coat today.
Okay.
Once the coat goes on, once this coat goes onto a piece of rubber, in fact, we don't have to do anything else. You could leave it now for a month. What it does is it completely seals in the moisture into the clay, and the clay won't stop cracking. So that's it. It's like it's like sealing it into a freezer for all intents and purposes. That's
Right.
it. The statue is now. Once this is done, the statue is completely safe, and that's it. Then you can relax. But it's kind of crucial at this stage to get a coat of rubber on it, because
That's the one
your voice going on to the film.
No, it's grand because I've filmed all the chaos up to this point anyway, so it's grand.
It's okay, so
Yeah.
Brian's wearing his new overalls today. I don't know if you noticed that.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he got them yesterday. Especially
Lovely
walking
overalls.
Daddy.
Is he learning now as well? All of the
Brian,
yeah.
not if I have anything to do with it.
No, you don't want him involved in it.
Brian, I sense is going to be an accountant
Oh wow.
or something else that's not in a foundry. Who knows? Brian will be whatever he wants to be. He's very good at singing and dancing.
No, I really am in.
You really.
Oh, I don't believe that
You
now.
never even heard me sing.
I
You
see.
don't even know if I I do sing or
sing and
if
dance
I
all the
don't,
time.
because you never heard me sing.
You sing when you're in the toilet.
I don't.
Oh, that's the best place to sing. Very good echo in the
Dad,
toilet.
I don't. You don't even know You don't even know when I do.
You sound like you'd have a good singing voice, you know that.
Great singing
I can
voice.
hear, like, I can hear.
You've got a great singing voice. Brian, don't do that anymore.
Dad, you actually never hear me.
Brian, you sing all the time, though.
I really don't, Dad.
What's your favourite song to sing?
He makes them up.
I don't have any songs.
You
Yeah.
write your own songs
He
as
writes his
well.
own songs in his head, just makes
I
them
don't
up.
even have paper or pencil.
You don't need that, you just need to remember it. Yeah.
No.
You must be so good that you don't even need to write it
Sometimes I
down.
don't really have good remembering.
Well, you know.
Yeah, that's very good remembering sometimes.
And when I mean that, I actually mean that. When I talked about something, I stopped for 1 second. What are we talking about then? And sometimes
Yeah, I
I
have that problem.
sometimes I can't remember a
that's
whole
kind of
year.
a daddy issue as well.
Sometimes I can hear a whole year.
Wow. Well,
And
that
how many
sounds
decades? How many decades is daddy?
66.
No. There's always a lot of conversation about how old daddy is.
interesting. All right.
And then they have the first one is when I am 20, daddy.
When you're
How old are
20.
you going to be?
When you're 20.
No, when you're 20, you
When you're 26. I know you're already 20,000 already.
I mean, exactly.
20,000.
Yes, that's how old daddy is. That's how old daddy is. Now, this is a good example of the moulding process. So what we have here is a whale. It's actually by an artist called Adil Vizier. And what we did was much the same as we saw on the statue a while. We paint on the liquid rubber all over this.
Okay.
And what we end up with is this, which is the negative of the negative mould of the whale. So there's the whale, and you can see it actually came out of this mould here. It would have gone that way. So that's what it would look like.
Okay.
Now, from then, what we do then is we paint in wax, foundry wax, into this here and into this side here. And when the wax goes hard, what we have is here, we've got this wax here. So this is the wax off the whale, and it's supported by, at this moment, by its runners and risers. So this is the feeding system. So if you can imagine, down the road, this is how this piece is going to be made into bronze. So you have your whale here, the metal will come in through here, it will come down here, feed into the what will then be a hollow, and that will all be bronze. There's the fins, and then all these here are, when the metal is coming down, the air has been pushed ahead of it. These are called risers. So the air will be flying up all these, all up there, so that there'll be no air bubbles in the casting.
Okay.
There's also, as you can see on this side, there's a hole, and that's where the core is going to go in, because these pieces are going to be cast hollow. So the next step after this is that we're going to put, well, first we're going to paint on a special surface, special plaster on the surface, super hard, and then we're going to put what's called a cottle around this, and we're going to fill up this cottle, which will be like a bucket basically around it, full of wet plaster up the very top. And when that goes hard, we'll remove the cottle, and now we'll have this completely surrounded by plaster, a plaster block. And the next stage is we'll bring out this plaster block, and later on you'll see all this, and if you put into this oven, and this is called a burnout oven.
Okay.
It actually comes out with little rails here, and we put this mould along with lots of other pieces on this oven, and it goes in here. We shut the door, and we fire this up to an oil-fired oven, and it'll go up to 600 degrees. And what happens then is that all the wax that's inside that mould will burn out completely, because the whole process is called the lost wax process. And then when that happens and this cools down, we take out this mould and we invert it. So now we've got the pouring up, and we have a mould, and in it there's a hollow, and the hollow is where the wax was. We melt the bronze here. This is the bronze. This is in this crucible. Inside this here, this is called a furnace. And when that gets to 1100 degrees, we'll pour it into the mould, and then that's it. Then it'll be all finished. Then.
Thank
And
you.
you can see it further. You'll be able to see it further down the road.
Learned to do this simple process so that you know what sculpture is about from the very, very beginning, what you're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
So in here now there's
Okay, I'm gonna just come over.
I put on my rubber gloves for this. So in here there's an almost empty tub,
Okay.
just red clay that's been used 1,000 times.
Okay.
Soft and sticky, too sticky to use at the moment.
Okay.
So we go to another natural raw material. This is plaster. Ordinary plaster.
Okay.
Plaster powder. And actually the backs of moulds that Seamus used myself. And I get myself a stick now.
Sorry, I'm in your way now.
No, that's okay. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
By the way, I have never bought a modelling tool
Oh wow.
in my life. I make them all.
Wow.
They're only all simple anyway. I make them as I need them. Just put that around a small little bit. And now I'm taking another one.
My God, that looks so satisfying, honestly.
On the bin, no problem.
So satisfying.
Well, it's all part of the process, and it's physical, and you're learning about your material from start to finish. And remember that this could have made 100 statues before this. Could have been doing anything. And it's getting a new lease of life again. I'll just do that much now. Extraneous material as well. It's thrown out.
I need to ask a stupid question though.
Yeah.
So when that is spread out here
Uh-huh.
on this plaster, what becomes of it then afterwards, or what? How do
It's
you?
just going to, it's going to become it now in a minute.
Okay, brilliant.
The essential property of the plaster is its capacity to soak water
Okay.
endlessly. Because when plaster dries out, it's the very same essential in quality, or what would you call it? What's the word? Property of dried plaster that makes all the cups and saucers that you use.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Because the factories that make cups and saucers in pottery, they have moulds for cups. And they mix their clay into liquid, pour it into the mould, leave it there for half an hour. The mould soaks all the water out and leaves a skin of clay on the inside.
Okay.
With experience and everything, they know the exact thickness they want. Then after another little while, you could remove the clay, because clay being a natural raw material always behaves the same way. The next stage is called leather hard. It's
Okay.
a pottery term, but it's leather hard, which means the clay has stiffened
Okay.
and it holds its shape. Then, next step, I presume that the primitive people found this long ago, put it drying in the sun, and it goes pure hard, dried mud. It's that it's delicate, but tangible. And then, let's go back to the primitive days. These guys found that if you put it into a fire and let it get red hot, white hot,
Yeah.
and let it cool down, you've got it.
Nice. Okay.
So it's all depending on this natural raw material, plaster, gypsum, or whatever it is, to soak water. So while we were talking, this is beginning to get dry.
So quick.
So quick. It's behaving well now because it knows it's been filmed.
It's cooperating.
And also because I'm wasting time blathering. So bit by bit, I will take bits of it. Put it together. Walk on a small piece and then another piece. Pieces. Now it's becoming malleable, usable clay.
Oh wow.
I could keep going until it's rock hard, and I don't want to because that's the way I would use it. So I would add it to my little pile here. All made the same way. Collies and everything. See, that's all. It's been to dry that. All you got to do is pour water on that and it softens again.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So that's how all of the clay that's on that statue was made.
Okay.
Bit by bit by bit. Not everybody would bother. They would just buy new bags of clay. It's against my nature, and I love the process, I love the physical process. Plus the fact that I'm repeating what people have done for thousands of years, as long as they're making sculpture or pottery. They're very linked, you know, sculpture and pottery.
Yeah. Which one came first? The pottery, surely? No?
Yeah,
I
well,
wonder.
I don't think they know, well, they have a fair idea, I suppose. But, you know, people that know about antiques and whatever, with Egyptian vases or Chinese or whatever, but they'd be thousands of years old. But then again, the Bronze Age goes back 4,500 years. So they were melting bronze and casting bronze. Certainly long before they had buses, that's for sure. Yeah, these skills are primitive. You'll see them in the National Museum. They'll surprise you what they were making thousands of years ago in bronze and in gold. So the metal skills, the metal crafts were to the fore in people's lives.
And for what you've done so far with the statue, how long did that take, that amount of clay, like initially?
Probably didn't prepare it all together.
Yeah, just bit by
I
bit.
prepared it as I wanted it every day.
Yeah.
But as I say, others wouldn't do it, but I do.
Yeah.
I think it's terrific to be intimate with your material at all stages.
Yeah.
I hope it becomes. Yes, I have a love for the craft. Physical work is good for anybody, including me.
It does look
For the same
really.
reason I love growing spuds,
Yeah.
digging them.
Yeah.
I just love it.
Have you ever taken on any apprentices to teach them?
No, I ran a couple of courses for adults that wanted to, not children, adults. I just had a notion to do it. And I thought maybe it would be an outlet that would interest me in time, earn a few quid.
Yeah.
And I did enjoy it. What I found was that adults who came to me, and there were a number of them. First one was from Germany, as it happens. But anyway, none of them had done sculpture before, but they all, for some reason, felt the need, they wanted it. And it really was, it turned out to be, because every one of them had an innate talent that came out once they got the opportunities.
Oh, wow.
And you'd be amazed what they did in a few days. Because sculpture is common sense. And common sense, I think, is what keeps me going. But yes, I do believe that there's a lot of people in the world with innate talents. I hidden for years and years and years that they were never exposed to. And the ones that came here, they were drawn to the idea of doing it. But that's why.
It looks great, like. I just think though, for some people, I can imagine they would think if they're not good at art, or if they're not good at painting, or, you know, if they're not arty that way, I can imagine they would be discouraged trying to do a sculpture or something. Right? But I guess it's different than draw. It's not the same as painting a picture though, because you're handling the materials.
Oh yeah. Well, I did a bit of teaching. And I qualified as an art teacher. But I got used to kids. I was teaching kids. Right? And the first thing that little kids would tell you, they've never done art before, they couldn't draw. So I can't draw. At that starting point, it's a challenge, but a delightful one.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to draw to be creative.
Yes.
There's nothing to do with drawing. What I cracked a nut for myself. Little first year students in secondary school never did art or painting or anything. And I found that the key for me was to find something so personal that they had confidence. And I came up with it and I repeated it. For a couple of years I was doing it and it always worked. And I'd say, you know your own house? Yeah. Draw me a picture of your own house. Oh yeah. Well, I've got such a variety of houses.
Oh my God.
There'd be 10 rooms upstairs, 10 windows, under little curtains.
Oh wow.
They'd have a shot at it, but their imagination took over.
God.
Yeah, that's so fabulous. I broke the back generally. Picture of your own house. But when the people would say, children would say, but I couldn't draw a face. I said, you don't have to be able to draw a face to know somebody. And they all laughed at me. I said, no. I said, if you were out, I was thinking on my feet, and then I began to use these things. I said, if you were out in the road, and your mammy was coming up the road with another woman, and they were far away. I said, would you know your mammy from the other woman? Of course! I said, you couldn't see her face. You just know her from so many other things.
Yeah.
You know? And you can enlarge on those things then. This is just rough and tumble. Eventually it becomes clean just like that.
When did you start sculpting though? Like, when did you start? When you were very small?
Well, I don't know. I didn't really know what sculpture I'd say was. But there's two things stand out. One was an aunt. I think she was an aunt. She was a relative anyway. We called every woman that came into the house was aunt.
Yeah, same here.
And she was a very kind woman. She was from Connemara and from some relations up there. And she, like all kind people visiting the house, she asked me, what do you like to be when you grow up? And I said, a sculptor. Now, I can't have been much more than 9 or 10.
Oh my God.
Oh, I can't say that. I don't know why I said it. The next she landed out with a box of plasticine that size. I never saw so many colours and shapes in it.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's a fact. So, I didn't have any feelings for sculpture at all. Except, the other thing that stands out in my mind was sitting in the Redemptorist Church in Limerick. Well, there was lines of sculpture and bones under my skull. We had to be there.
Yeah.
Because when I was older, and I was sitting just at the edge of the sea, and there was a big sculpture beside me. I think there's a copy of Michelangelo's Pieta or something. There's a copy anyway. And I remember looking at it and thinking, Jesus, I could do that. That's the fact. I thought, I could do that. Didn't cross my mind after that.
That's great.
But, you know, these things come out. There's that piece of clay. Recycled.
That's excellent.
And can be used and endlessly recycled.
Yeah. God, you know what those two look like? They look like gravestones.
Oh, for God's sake.
I know.
My mother used to the phrase for that. She said, it's being so cheerful that keeps us going.
I know. Oh God.
Now, I'm going to do something noisy and I'm going to...
Oh great.
I'm going to take off the covers here.
Okay, I'm going to just come behind here.
Yeah.
Catch
The
it.
covers are because of the natural thing that happens.
Because it'll dry out.
It dries out.
Yeah.
And if it dries out, that's not solid clay now.
Okay.
You'll know that there's a wooden armature underneath that
Yes.
to support it.
Yeah.
So in places there's only a very light thickness of clay, other places there's a thicker part.
Mm-hmm.
One way or the other, if it isn't kept moist, and especially where there's heat coming down here, the sun,
Yeah.
you leave that for a couple of days and come back and it's riddled with cracks.
Oh, okay.
So I have to watch it very, very carefully. So I'm just temporarily throwing covers on it where I'm working on it, where I'm not. I'm going to uncover the whole lot now in a minute because I want to spray it. My little dreamer. Move your bag.
Oh, sorry.
Thanks be to God for plastic.
Yeah.
The older sculptors that I've seen pictures of working in clay, you would have faced the same difficulties, even greater difficulties, because they worked on the continent, Paris, like Rodin and others, and they left a big piece of sculpture.
Loads of cracks. Because the heat.
No, well they had their own methods.
Yeah.
Their method of keeping it damp
Mm-hmm.
was to hang all around it sacks saturated with water,
Oh, wow.
hanging down just to create an atmosphere. And even though, I'll show you here now, even though this has been covered for a couple of days. See that now? That's a crack.
Oh, yeah.
And there's other cracks. And they have to be controlled. There's more than here. I haven't looked at it for a couple of days, but I'm going to spray this with water now. There's no danger in those cracks because there's a thing, they're held together.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, it just shows you the natural process. And you have to stay on top of that all of the time until you get back to it again.
Mm-hmm.
And it was my method of working anyway, is that I go round and round and round and round and round the piece, trying to keep it all at the same stage. And no part is too advanced other than that. There's only common sense to do that.
Yeah.
Until I get to a stage where I have to do some detailed finishing some places that I'm doing now on the baby for the past couple of days. And then this stays covered for a little while and you see there's the results. It begins to crack. So now I'm going to spray it with water.
Okay.
Simple as that. Noisy. You'll notice there's two little pieces are covered up. With
Yes, the
roll cap.
hands.
The reason for that is the little bits that I finished, they're very delicate.
Okay.
Delicate in the sense that they're small. I'll just show you this one now. The little hand is fairly advanced towards being finished, as is this one. And by continually saturating that one,
Okay.
it could fall off.
Oh, I see.
So I'm just keeping it protected. It didn't get sprayed this time. It doesn't need to because the plastic will keep its moisture there anyway. As I say, plastic was a great invention for sculptors.
Very good.
Just-
Thank you. That's gorgeous.